Welcome back to Middlesex Moments, coming to you from Middlesex Community College. I'm Steve Minkler, the college CEO, and it is graduation season, and I am so delighted to be joined today by a member of the Middlesex Community College class of 2021, Riley McConnell. Riley, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. This is so fun.
Well, and you must feel a big sense of accomplishment and relief at this point, right? You're graduating.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's been a lot. I mean, especially because of how much I poured into Middlesex. It's definitely scary because it's like I want to continue that in the next school I go to. So I feel like I kind of have to top myself. But I'm definitely proud of myself for sure.
And you should be. And I think what we're going to talk about today is a little bit about who you are and all the things you've been involved with here at the college. You are one of our superstar students and really one of the most accomplished students I've ever met in my long time in higher education.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? Where did you go to high school? And how did you first become aware of Middlesex Community College?
So I'm from Middletown, Connecticut. I was born and raised here. I went to high school at Vinyl Technical High School in Middletown. That school I knew about because my brother went there. My family is very much a supporter of trades work. It just didn't work out for me. I took HVAC, so it's definitely different than what I want to do now. But I'm so grateful for the experience. I still have friends from there. I was really involved there as well. And while the shop didn't work out for me, it's kind of cool to still have those skills and, be able to do handiwork because it might not look like I could do that, just in seeing me for the first time, but I can. And I think that's really cool. I knew about Middlesex because, I live in Middletown and it's a small town. So it's the only college here. So you just kind of know about it. And, around my senior year, I figured out that I didn't really want to go into that trade. And so I started Middlesex. And then shortly after, in my second semester, I did the legislative internship program. And that's kind of what really took off my want to be in politics, I would say, and my want to be a communications major and go forth in that path.
Right. Well, what I do know about you is you seem to be a people person, right? You enjoy talking with people and being around others. So it's really kind of cool that you got interested in doing a lot of active work at your school when you were at Vinyl. And that's continued in your time here. I think it was the first week you were here, you became the student advisory committee representative for Middlesex. So what was that like, your first week at college? And boy, you're getting hyper involved with so many things.
I think I blacked out. I really don't know what happened. I just knew that I do best when I'm involved. I don't really like to halfway do anything or else it's not going to be, I'm not getting out of it what I want. And, with college, and luckily Middlesex is affordable, but with any college, it's, a pretty penny. And so you want to make the most of your education and what you're spending. And so because I was so involved in high school, I just knew that I had to be involved in college as well. And so I walked in and they were like, hey, this position's open. Is anyone interested? And it was like, sure. And so that's kind of how it happened. It was, I didn't know anyone. I'm so close with Janet now, but back then I didn't know Janet. It was like total craziness.
But that's the way you're going to meet people, by getting involved. And I think, the people who are watching or listening really need to know Riley's being somewhat modest here because she started doing the Student Advisory Committee, which is a major committee that is reports to our Board of Regents, which oversees all 17 colleges and universities. And that must have been, was that intimidating at all for you?
Oh, for sure. Because it's also like, it's kind of like imposter syndrome because I mean, really, I thought they were crazy to even let me have this position in general. I mean, it might have been a desperate plea because, we needed someone in that position because it's very important. I mean, someone to go and report back what's happening and stuff that's going to affect us directly. And it was, of course, it was intimidating because it's like, why did they choose me? I just started here. I know absolutely nothing. But I think everyone was so kind in that first meeting and so welcoming that I knew that even if I didn't do great or, you know, I was nervous, that it was all going to be fine. I mean, going to the meetings in Hartford was like a whole other beast that I had to like kind of grapple with, because it's actually a funny story. The first meeting I went to, I didn't know what to wear. I didn't know. Since then, I have gotten a lot of business attire,
Okay.
but then I was fresh out of high school, so I didn't have any of that, you know? And I go there and everyone's in blazers or a dress and they look really nice and put together. And I was not on that level at all.
Oh.
And I was like texting my dad under the table. I'm like, I'm not supposed to be here. This is crazy. And he's like, your personality will shine through, and they'll like, you don't need a blazer to stand out. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you stuck with it. And, you know, from there, you've been involved with, well, first you came in to Middlesex, choosing a different focus, right? You went from a, you know, HVAC trade school at Vinyl to becoming a communication studies major, but you're also in the honors program here at the college.
Yes. Yes. That was, Sorry, I didn't know if you had a question.
No, just to say, what was that like?
I'm not going to lie, it was hard because, you know, we have the capstone project at the very end, and that's always like a big battle that you kind of have to face. All in all, though, I really enjoyed it because it made transferring so much easier. I mean, you basically take a class to transfer, and it's like you have advisors and people helping you step by step along the way, and it made it so much easier. It made my transition to Eastern easier. It made sending transcripts and knowing even how to do any of that, how to apply to any of that, made it so much easier. And, you know, in the moment when you're doing the capstone research and the capstone project, you're like, I don't want to do this. This is not fun. Like parts of me even like felt like I was going to regret it, because like you're doing so much work and you just want it to be worth it at the end. And it was. I mean, you even at my last foundation meeting, you talking and, you know, shouting out my capstone project made it so worth it that someone would remember all that work I put into it, and it showed through, and someone would specifically remember my piece. It was really awesome, and I appreciate you doing that.
Well, no, you're welcome. I mean, it was an incredible presentation that you made. And let's talk a little bit more about the topic that you chose and maybe what was the motivation for choosing that.
So I chose the perpetuation of rape culture, and that is definitely, it started a very personal, like, core thing. I think as a woman, you know, sexual harassment is like normal. Like I expect to walk outside and go to the mall and hang out with my friends, and I expect to be harassed. And that to me was like awful. No one should have to go through that. That should not be a thing. That should not be normal, let alone all these other things that go with it. And, you know, I dealt with a lot of, you know, because in my presentation, I talked about dress codes and how they are, you know, are unfairly targeted at female students. And I had experienced that myself. And that was, you know, a reason that was one of my reasons. And, you know, the sexual jokes and, you know, rape jokes, and hearing that throughout my whole life, I'm like, there's something wrong about that. Like that, why is that normal? Why are we allowed to say that? And so that's how I came up with it, is because it's very personal. It's something I'm very passionate about. Yeah.
No, and I think your presentation really did resonate with everybody who was watching and listening for lots of reasons. Other women students like yourself, you know, I took a lot away with it because I have a daughter who's similar in age to you are, and I know she probably has experienced that similar reactions. And like you said, it's like, how did this become normalized behavior, and how can we undo it? Yeah. So exactly. I applaud you for picking that subject and for doing such a great job with your capstone.
Thank you. It was definitely hard, you know, really having to dive into that, but I think it was all worth it, you know, to kind of project everything I've been feeling in like a professional manner.
Absolutely. So another thing you've been involved with here at Middlesex is working with our Middlesex Community College Foundation, which helps raise money and raise awareness about the college. How did you get first involved in the foundation?
So that was after I had been the student advisory committee representative for, it all happened so fast for like, I want to say a month, but I really don't even know if it was that long. It was like super fast. Basically they were looking for a new student representative, the foundation, and Janet, the student, the advisor for the student senate, put in my name, and it was like, again, another like imposter syndrome thing. Like, how did I get here? This is so crazy. Now I'm in front of all these adults in blazers, not students in blazers. So it was definitely like crazy, but I was so honored that somehow my personality was good enough for them. And they were like, you know what? She's the one, like, she's the girl. So yeah.
Well, I think it's personality combined with your dedication to the college. I mean, you were making the most of this experience to the fullest that you can. And it really, that's part of your personality, and it really shows. And I think that that's what impresses people to say, hey, I think she would be a great representative of all of our students. She's a great spokesperson for the college and what the foundation is looking for. And that naturally kind of goes with your interest in communication, right? How you present information to people and how you can have a public presence. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that's always been like, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn or whatever, but I think I've always had an ability to talk to people like normally. Like I think I just have a way of conversation with people. And I thought that was definitely important, and having to have relationships with my fellow students and then be able to bring that to, an older crowd and an administrative crowd. So, yeah.
Okay, great. Well, Riley, it's time for a short break. So,
okay.
So when we come back, more with Middlesex Moments with my guest, Riley McConnell, who's a member of the Middlesex Community College Class of 2021. You're listening to Middlesex Moments from Middlesex Community College.
Feel like the pandemic put your life on hold? In times of uncertainty, Middlesex Community College is your way forward. With several degree, transfer, and career path options, your goals are not on hold. Stay close to home, save thousands on tuition, discover a classroom as unique as you. At MxCC, you'll receive a high-quality and affordable education with flexible scheduling. Find the perfect path at Middlesex. MxCC is your way forward. Register now.
Welcome back to Middlesex Moments from Middlesex Community College. I'm Steve Minkler, the college CEO. And with me today is a member of the Middlesex Community College Class of 2021, Riley McConnell. Riley, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
And to say that Riley is just a member of the Class of 2021 is really doing her a disservice. So before the break, we were talking about the many ways that Riley just jumped in the first week of school when she first came to Middlesex in the fall of 2019 to become the Student Advisory Committee representative. She's also been on the Middlesex Community College Foundation Board. She's a member of the college's honors program, and we talked about her capstone project. She's a member of Phi Theta Kappa, which is our honor society. She was also on the committee that was the search advisory committee for the CEO, my job. So Riley, thank you for helping hire me.
Of course.
And among your many honors, you are this year's student speaker at our commencement. And what an honor that must have been. And talk about, being chosen for that and what your approach was in thinking of what your speech would be to your fellow classmates.
Yeah. So when I got that email, that day was like, I don't even remember the date, but it was such a monumental day in my short 19 years of life. But that same day I had gotten an email saying I had gotten a foundation scholarship. And then a couple hours later, I got an email saying I was chosen to be the commencement speaker. And I literally cried. I was like so excited. And I feel like excited is an understatement. I feel honored. Like, and I feel like I think it's like the only word I can use. I mean, the fact that there's so many hardworking students and so many individual students and so many unique students. And, I was chosen to basically be the spokesperson for all those people was incredible. And I think it also made me really emotional because it's like all your hard work is being noticed. And it's like, it was kind of like the pinnacle of all of that. As far as my approach, I was stumped for like the first couple of days. I was like, okay, now I have to actually write the speech. And one rule I had was I didn't want to talk about COVID. I think it's been talked about enough. I think it's exhausted at this point, and I didn't want to make our awesome day about that. I wanted to steer clear of that. I wanted it to be, I didn't really want it to be basic. I didn't want to say, we did it. I wanted to say it in a way that was different. I wanted to say it in a way that would empower people and, give people hope and give people, I guess, comfort in not knowing what's going to happen next. Because I've always found, anxiety and thinking about the future, but I wanted people to know that, there is some solace and there is some comfort in our next big decisions and our next choices and our next paths. And so I really wanted it to be something that inspired people and, encouraged people to go after whatever they wanted to do. So, yeah.
Good evening. On behalf of the graduating class, I'd like to thank all the people who make Middlesex Community College great. To the administration, for the oversight you bring to the school and for making the tough calls when needed. We thank you. To the faculty, who give your all each and every day to provide us with a tremendous education and pushing us to do our best even on the days that we don't want to learn. All the while taking the extra time to build relationships with us that for some will last a lifetime. We thank you. To the staff, who work tirelessly, coordinating our school and events while supporting us and the faculty. We thank you. To the Middlesex Maintenance and Security, who keep our campus running efficiently and create a safe place for us to come and learn every day, we thank you. I come before you tonight as the class of 2021 student speaker. I'll be honest, when I found out that I was given this opportunity, I cried. Now, I'm not sure if that means much because I cry over just about everything, but I genuinely was so excited to speak about a school that I love so much. However, that quickly faded when I realized that I actually had to write a speech. I wrestled with what I should say for days. I wanted it to be perfect. And that's when I knew. Why did I want it to be perfect? Why did it matter so much to me if it wasn't? If there's anything that I learned through college, it's that no one really knows what they're doing. Even our professors, administration, and people who we think have it all together have grappled with this idea of knowing absolutely nothing. And that's okay, because neither triumphs nor disasters last forever. So with this, I decided that I'm going to give you 5 lessons I have learned in my time at Middlesex, because I believe a lesson learned should be a lesson shared. Lesson number 1, be okay with not being perfect. As mentioned before, no one knows what they're doing, and certainly no one is perfect. Don't let yourself be the exception. Besides, no one ever writes a biography about someone with a perfect life. As my dad would say, that wouldn't sell. Lesson number 2, don't be afraid of fear. Actress Helen Mirren once said these words, and by this I think she meant don't let fear rule you. Now, sometimes it's wise to be afraid, like when you're about to dive into a pool with not enough water. But when we are challenged by other fears, like being good enough or smart enough, or wondering if we will fail, throw caution to the wind, look fear in its face, and barge forward. Those are the people that get biographies written about them. Lesson number 3, treat people just like people. Every single person, whether they have dominion over your life or not, deserves equal respect and generosity. If everyone followed this simple lesson, the world would be a whole lot better. Because you never know what someone is going through behind closed doors. So be kind, always. Lesson number 4, working hard is good, but it should not be done for the sole purpose of a goal and at the expense of relationships with others. Because while money may return, your time and relationships won't. Live a life in which one day you will have no regrets. And lastly, lesson number 5. Just because we are young does not mean we can't make a difference. Now, I will say, sometimes I understand the frustration of older generations, because their hardships and hard work are rewarded by a generation that rejects everything they stand for. But I don't think we are wrong. Because you see, young people carry within them the energy and idealism that will regenerate human life on this planet. We are a generation of game changers. We are empathetic and radical and brave and young. The world needs us. But with this, please remember that we are all in this together. And when there is no more room at the table, get more chairs. So, as I end this speech, I wonder if it was everything I wanted it to be. But as I have learned, it doesn't have to be, and I don't really care if it's not. Because this is only a tiny fraction of my journey, and if it's not perfect, time will continue, and the earth will not implode, and no one will know. And to me, that's comforting. And I hope that's comforting to you as you also navigate your next step. Whether it be at a university or in the workforce or whatever path you venture, I leave you with this. In all that you do, be imperfect and brave and empathetic and diligent and radical. Because right now, in 2021, we have the ability to be all 5. Thank you.
So speaking of future, you're graduating with a degree in what's called Communications Studies, which is a transfer pathway program that the community colleges have with the state universities. So tell our listeners and viewers where you're going in the fall and what your future plans are.
So I will be going to Eastern Connecticut State University in the fall to pursue communications, but with a concentration in public relations. I sat down with my dad and we looked at all the major options under communications, and we figured that public relations would be the best for what I want to do. I mean, the great part about communications is it is so vast. I mean, you could do radio, you could do politics, you could do human resources, public relations, social media. It's incredible the amount of jobs that are available in such, one word.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I think that was really cool. And I think that's why I chose it, because I think, it fits everything I could possibly want to do. I mean, I thought about news for a little bit. I thought about human resources for a little bit. So even if my mind changes, it's all within communications. So that's really great. And it all kind of goes back to my legislative internship. I think that was such a monumental moment in my life as well. I think it was such an influential moment in my life. I was the youngest intern in my class because I had taken classes in high school. I had met the credit requirement. So after a lot of them were seniors in college, and after the program, they were able to get jobs at the Capitol, which was also really cool to know, because it's always a fear after you graduate, like finding a job in your degree. But I think that gives me comfort that there are jobs out there that, I could do and I want to do. So, yeah.
So when you worked in the for the legislative internship, did you happen to notice like the different styles of communication? Because you mentioned you thought, well, maybe I could go into news, maybe you could go into public relations, maybe working for a company, but working and doing political communications is sort of its own animal, isn't it? I mean, did you see anything?
Oh, yeah.
How would you describe that?
Yeah. Well, politics in general is definitely its own animal. I mean, as a 18-year-old girl, walking in there and, it's all these, and it was also very interesting because that was when the vaccine bill was really big. So there was protesters in there every single day, hundreds of them. And mind you, this was like a month before COVID started. So, there was a ton of people everywhere. Protests were always happening outside. And it was really cool because what is cool and what kind of is embodied in communication is also free speech. I mean, driving into the Capitol every day and seeing all these people with signs, and no matter what it said, I think it was really cool to see our rights in action. in the littlest way possible. I thought it was really awesome. But having been able to sit in Senate and watch them make decisions, and the interns were able to do a mock session. So it's kind of like we were pretending to be legislators and representatives. It's very interesting. And I think what made me want to go into politics is kind of what I want to change about it. I think that it can be very intimidating, sometimes insulting, and, filled with a lot of passion but behind, aggression and hate and anger. And I don't think that it needs to be that way. I think everyone is just trying to make the world a better place in their own way. And so I kind of hope that my generation is able to, kind of transform the way in which we do government and the way in which we speak to each other. And I think the government can just learn to be more kind to one another, no matter what party you're on. So yeah, it's definitely very interesting.
I'm really glad you said that, because I sense a lot of hope in your generation coming forward. There's a lot of action about, racism is a thing of the past. We have to get over that. It's still real and things are still there, but we need to get past that. And we need to just embrace each other and to support each other. Like you just said, politics being sort of a this or that kind of argument today. I see a lot of hope in your generation, and I hope you see the same thing in people your own age too. Do you see that?
Oh, for sure. When I was doing the internship program, I mean, these people who are still college students were some of the smartest people I've ever met. And they were so kind and so poised and able to communicate their thoughts in such a, cordial manner. And I just kind of sat there and hoped that one day these were the people who hopefully I'd be sitting beside, but, that are the people to make the decisions and to take into account and be, how kind of I've been throughout my whole college career as a representative, be a good representative and really hear out the people. So that was a big thing. And it's funny that you asked me that, because I have always thought after that program that I hope those people are the people that, get into those positions one day.
Okay, so Riley, I have sort of an old school job interview question for you, which is kind of like, where do you see yourself in a few years? But let me twist it a little bit. So you're 19, going to be 20 soon. So imagine 10 years from now, you're going to be 30 on your next birthday. When you get to that point, what do you hope people are saying about you, Riley the person, Riley the professional? What kind of things that you would hope that they would say about you?
It's really funny you asked that, because I don't know if this is personal, but my therapist asked me that, a couple sessions ago. Yeah. Because I think I talk so much about success, and, I think people my age always just want to be well off, and, you want to be able to, have a successful career. But as far as what that means to me, I think it also means that by people, I'm seen as someone who's admired. I want to be someone who, people can go to and who feel listened by. And, I want to be that person that people talk about and people are like, oh, that Riley, I just want to be, admired.
Okay. And maybe the flip of that. So imagine you're going to be 30 soon, and you're associated with your alma mater, Middlesex Community College, and you're mentoring a student who's coming in, an 18-year-old freshman, maybe a young woman like yourself. What advice would you give to that new student?
Grab every opportunity you can. Every opportunity that presents itself is there for a reason, and it's there for you to take a hold of and just go. And you're going to be nervous, but I don't remember her name, but there was a TED Talk a long time ago about like the power stance and, faking it till you make it. And I think that really helped me. I mean, with all the positions I was given and feeling like I wasn't good enough, I think once you fake it until you make it, you're going to make it one day. And I think by grabbing opportunities, and even if you're scared and nervous, it will build you into this person that is confident and that knows like where their place is and is okay with, you know, holding that place and be like, no, I belong here. So definitely grab every opportunity you can.
It sounds like great advice that you yourself have taken. So, so our listeners and viewers of Middlesex Moments, you are being introduced to a future superstar and future political and communication leader in our country, Riley McConnell, member of the Middlesex Community College class of 2021. Thanks so much for being with me today, Riley.
Thank you so much.
And again, thank you for watching or listening to Middlesex Moments. And as always, you're welcome to visit us in person at our main campus, which is 100 Training Hill Road here in Middletown. You can visit us in the fall at our Meriden Center located at Platt High School, where we have afternoon and evening classes 4 days a week. And as always, you can visit us online at mxcc.edu. So on behalf of Riley and everybody here at Middlesex Community College, I'm Steve Minkler, and we'll see you next week.